right.
Welcome,
Hi.
Lindsay.
Yes.
You are the lead tech over our Geneva site.
Yes.
How long have you worked here now?
Since January 13th of this
January.
year.
Wow.
So almost a year.
Wow. It's flying by, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Geneva. It's awesome over there.
Yes.
So you've come here today to tell us your story, and I'm super excited to hear it myself. I think this is going to be an amazing thing.
Okay.
It's an amazing thing for our clients to be able to hear, for our staff, and be able to show what recovery is like for everyone. All of us have our own stories. I have my own. Other people that work here have their own stories. So I think it's amazing that you came here today, and very brave of you to come in today to tell your story to everybody.
Well, thank you.
So I'll just pass it off to you.
All right. Well, this will only be the second time I've really shared my story besides like in meetings or, in treatment and things like that. But pretty much my parents were divorced when I was really young, so I went back and forth between them, and my mom got married 2 other times after my dad, and the second marriage wasn't really good. So I have a lot of childhood trauma and things like that I don't really feel like getting into, but my mom was an alcoholic, and so once she ended up essentially in 8th grade when we lived in Colorado, she told me to get the fuck out of her house. Wow. And my brother, who also works for the company, he was still in diapers. He was like 2 years old, and because we're 12 years apart. So I pretty much was his mom for the first years of his life. And so I locked myself into our bathroom, and that was like the first time I ever self-harmed, and he got into my washable markers, and so I tried to give him a bath, and my mom came in and said, "What did you do to my son?" And her friends or whatever were doing God who knows what out in the living room all day, and then she didn't say anything about my arms and anything. She just grabbed him and told me to get the fuck out of her house. So I called my grandma, and after that I hadn't seen my mom. I finished off 8th grade, and then I moved back here to Minnesota to live with my dad. And finally in 9th grade I gave her another chance over spring break, and I went out there. It didn't go well, and her roommate had raped me twice. And so after that, a lot of things for me mentally kind of went downhill, and I experimented. I drank a lot and smoked weed, and then came coke and ecstasy and Molly. And then after graduating high school, still kind of doing the same thing, but I wasn't an addict. That's just the way I thought. And then my mom, she passed away from cirrhosis. She drank herself to death, essentially, in 2014. So this November 19th will be 6 years. And ever since, pretty much when she passed away, that's when, both my brother and I kind of went downhill. But I had been in a relationship at that time. It was a total of 10 and a half years. And pretty much in 2016, that's when everything kind of got rocky, but I just stayed. And one of our friends was dating this person who was a meth and heroin addict, and she was clean at the time. Not really, but and I was just infatuated with it. I don't know why. Obviously I was running from a lot of things, and so I went. She shot me up for my first time in a bar, and then a week later I did meth and she shot me up, and it was the worst feeling I've ever experienced in my life. And I just struggled for 3 years off and on, and I was living a double life. So my dad and my ex had the people that I actually cared and loved about, they had no idea I was using.
Yeah.
And I had a job and I was going to therapy. I did personal individual sessions 2 times a week, and then I did group the other 2 times a week, worked full time, and I figured if I just hit it head on, it'll be fine. And I'll get better and, be able to move on and be normal again. But who I was before wasn't who I was actually meant to be. And I mean, I'm lucky enough where I don't have children, so it's just me I get to focus on. And so I do tell like a lot of our clients that have children and, legal issues, like I give them props, and it helps me when I see them being able to overcome even more struggles than what I have to. Because I know for just me alone, it's hard, but to have so much other issues and the obstacles to overcome is just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about it.
So, what is your recovery date, if you don't mind me asking? Like, how long have you been in recovery at this point?
March 23rd, 2018.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I went to treatment, and it was only a 30-day program, but I stayed an extra week because I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I fully enjoyed, treatment isn't actually, it's not fun, but it can be. And I enjoyed, like, going to treatment and learning new ways to cope. And, like, I did 4 years of therapy before this. So it's like when I did one of our first groups, they were showing Brene Brown. And I knew all about Brene Brown. And all these people didn't. And so, I don't know, I just used it as my advantage to, I knew tools, but I didn't actually use them. Yeah. And so now when I'm having a panic attack or I want to go out and use, like, I actually contact people, or I do grounding and I try and meditate a lot.
Yeah. Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in treatment? Like, for me personally, when I was in treatment, honestly, I hated all of our staff. I was always out to get all of them, but it was really because, really, at the end of the day, there's a lot of issues with me that I didn't want to focus on. What was your experience like as a client working with the staff members as well as with other clients? Because it is, people that haven't experienced being in treatment, it's a very interesting experience.
Yes.
And because you're like stuck in a house of all these people that you don't know. You're going through you're feeling your feelings for the first time, all these things that you've been running from in the past. For me, at least, whenever I was sober, I was having to deal with them for the first time. So there's a lot of emotion. Can you explain that to us? Just because as we work with our clients, to give a little bit of insight how that was for you as from the client's perspective.
Well, I actually was a pretty good client. And I'm good enough that I actually went back to work there. So I was ready to go. Yeah. And I remember I got there on a Thursday, which we called it Trauma Thursday, because it was a horrible day of learning and talking about your trauma. And no one wants to talk about that. And then on Monday, I went and took my, they actually brought us to like a clinic to do a physical and things like that. And then I came back for community, and it was really somber in there, like something was going on. Well, some client had stolen a box of cereal and hid it. And we don't have cameras or anything in that in that treatment center, so there's no way to actually prove it. Well, they were contemplating kicking all of us out.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is ridiculous. It's a box of cereal. And I literally am here to save my life. I got here on Thursday, and it's Monday. I haven't done anything. Like, I'm seriously, I was so mad. And then, like, we all know who took it. And she ended up getting kicked out because she had her boyfriend try and come, and it was horrible. And cops got called, and, like, none of us clients knew because we were all on trazodone and just passed the heck out. And the next week, she's like, they come in for community. Well, we need to talk about what happened this weekend. And we're like, what happened? And then she's like, okay, never mind. We don't need to talk about it. I'm like, no, we need to talk about it. You just told us. Like, we're a bunch of addicts. You can't just do that to us. But, I mean, it's a love-hate relationship because you have to share two showers. It was in Burnsville, and it was like an actual 4-bedroom house, and we had a big group room, and we didn't get TV. We got one PG rated movie a week, and it was on Saturday. And we got popcorn and sparkling water. We were not allowed sugar, anything.
Yeah.
So I always remind the clients of like what I went through, and then how they kind of, you know, can have their issues, or that they didn't get to go to Walmart and things like that. And I show them, you know, other ways, like, you're going to be okay.
It's going to be all right.
Yeah.
So you went through this treatment center, and then you ended up going back to work there. What was your main motivator in coming to work into this field?
I just wanted to be an addict helping another addict, and showing them that like it can be done. And then I thought it was really cool that that I'm working at the treatment center that I went to, and just to show them, you know, like if you do put in the time and the effort, because you're not just going to go and then half-ass it and then come back out and be okay. You know, like, and it's not just the addiction part of it. It's also we're people who have been hurt and we have trauma, because normal people who have a good life and a good upbringing, I mean, they may, you know, experiment with a few kinds of drugs, but they're not going to reach for a needle and shoot themselves up with really bad, horrible drugs. So there's underlying issues where we have to focus on mental health, and you need to be there and you need to be serious. And I know some people just think it's a walk in a park, and you go and you can sleep all day and lounge and just kind of be present but not be present. And it also keeps the beginning part of recovery / the end part of the addiction real. When you see clients come in and they don't feel good and look at all the work that they have to do. Yeah.
It is an amazing thing to see someone come in the first day and then see them leave at whatever day it is. You know, like you can see the growth. You can see like the color come back to their face. You can see them to start like looking healthier, as well as like their behaviors as well. It's like they come in, they're just like, I don't care, whatever. I'm just going to be like sitting in the corner, not listening. And towards the end of it, they're like fully participant, an actual participant in the group. I remember being at North End and seeing guys that like day one, they hated everything. They hated everyone. And then it's like, then they're a peer leader and they're taking it super seriously. And it's been cool. It's cool to see that evolution.
Right.
And for me as an addict too, it's nice to remind myself what day one looked like, and to know that it's possible for everyone that wants to put in the work. I like that you brought that up. Like, it is work.
Right. It's not just, you don't just get to go there and get just a patient award, you know? Yeah. Like, I mean, yes, you know, if you graduate, yes, you get a participation award, essentially. But, like, you're going to continue. And I only went once.
Yeah.
And I'm one and done. And I see some clients who this is their 10th or like 20th treatment center. And it's because they may not have the support network outside of there. And that's one thing I like about NBH is, you know, you do 90 days and then we have the step down program. Yeah. And I think that's, especially for our clientele, a lot of them don't have homes to go to. Like, I got to go back home to my dad and do outpatient. Like, I was lucky enough to have that because it helped me not be able to get back in that place. Yeah. And it, you know, it does break my heart seeing people who have to go back to, you know, the projects, and that's where they're going to go, and then they're going to try and do outpatient. And sometimes, you know, if you go back to the same environment that made you sick, it's not going to make you any better.
Yeah. Absolutely. So now you're working in this field. What do you do for your recovery today? Like, what is that one thing that is helping you in your recovery going forward? You're out of obviously you're out of treatment.
Thank God.
You're not going to your outpatient. What do you do today that's going to help you stay sober, stay clean?
I go to meetings. And ever since COVID happened, I haven't really gone to them as frequently and as much as I'd like to. I do have 2 meetings that I like to go to, but with work schedule and things like that, it has been hard. But I'll try and get in on and try Zoom meetings, and I mean, they're really not my thing, but it doesn't matter, you know. And I do my step guide. I have the workbook, and I still try and talk to my sponsor. And honestly, just meditating and finding out more of my higher power and connecting like within myself and finding the strength, because at the end of the day, I mean, yes, we want and need people to help us, but we're the only ones that we're going to have at the end of the day. And so I try not to rely on anybody else to help me through things. Yes, I will reach out and things like that. But when I'm going through something with like an urge or whatever, like I need to be able to do it by myself just in case if there isn't someone there. And so just trying to, you know, get to know who I am, and I just coming into work is honestly something for my recovery that helps me, because it makes me feel good just going to a work, you know, like this is the longest job I've had before I went to treatment, because I just couldn't keep jobs and I didn't function very well. And so I think just going into work and helping and giving my knowledge to other clients and things like that and helping them through situations that they're going through.
Awesome. So this month, September, is Recovery Month. Mm-hmm. So my question to you is, what is recovery to you? What does it mean to you in your life, your every day? What does it mean to you?
I think the biggest thing and the thing that's helped me is just being able to surrender and to understand that I'm powerless over everything except for how I act and the choices that I make. And I think just knowing that I am powerless, but I also have the strength to get through things type. Of course, now I'm struggling.
It's kind of a loaded question.
I know. And I guess it just being true to myself and not giving in to those urges and those old behaviors and things, like, and using my tools and just reaching out and living the best life that I can and taking it day by day and sometimes hour by hour and minute by minute.
Yeah.
And learning how to sit in that suck, that horrible feeling, and to know that it's okay to feel these things and I can acknowledge them and try and distract myself or, you know, use other DPT skills and things. But then knowing that I can't just suppress it and push it away, I have to later come back to it.
Yeah, because that's, I mean, from my experience, a lot of why my using was really just a lot of suppressed feelings. And, mm-hmm. you know, as a man, men don't feel feelings.
Right.
You know, and then we'd suppress them. Mm-hmm. And so we have all these feelings, and then that use is really an escape.
Right.
And so I like that you said that, like, to actually deal with things as opposed to suppressing them. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So if you had 100 people in front of you today that were struggling addicts, deep in their addiction, what would be the one thing that you would want to say to them if you had that audience?
That they are worthy of recovery, and that to just reach out, because you're not a bad person because you've done the things you've done. And it's always what has happened to that person to make them get to the point that they are. And a lot of people don't feel worthy.
Yeah.
And everybody is worthy. We all bleed red. You know, we all go to the bathroom the same. We put the pants on the same. So.
I know a lot of people have a really hard time because they don't think they can. They don't even try to go to treatment. They don't even try anything because they don't think they're able to. They don't think they're worthy, that they don't deserve it, and all these things. Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you'd like to end with at all?
No, I'm good.
No? All right. Well, thank you for coming, taking time out of your day off, I believe.
Yes, my day off. I'm going to go home and probably take a nap.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Yes, thank
This is
you.
awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.